I just want to begin by, again, on behalf of Lori and our kids and our whole family, thanking Harrisburg Fire, thanking the local fire companies for answering that call and being there so quickly and getting that fire out and quite literally saving our lives. We talked as a family about wanting to do something to help say thank you. There's no real words other than thank you, and there's no way that we can fully express our great thanks other than to be dedicated to supporting our firefighters and first responders every day. And we wanted to do something special for them today. Our kids certainly urged us to do this, to serve them a meal and make sure that they knew they were being well taken care of. And so that's why we're here today. We're going to continue to support them, continue to have their backs. And Lori and I are just profoundly grateful for the warmth and the love that we've received, not just from our first responders, but from all Pennsylvanians. And with that, if you've got some questions, I'm happy to try and answer.
Governor Shapiro, we know you're taking a visit on high. How are you
Yeah, look, my kids are resilient, and Lori's a rock, and we're getting through it. And you know, we're lifted up, as Lori has said, by the prayers and the warm wishes, including the prayer that was just given to us by a chaplain here at the local fire company, a prayer that we recite to our children every day. Those prayers have lifted our spirits. I know you're going to think this sounds strange, but you can feel the warm wishes and the prayers that people are sending our way around you. You just feel it. I don't know how else to describe it. Obviously, I'm a person of faith. I believe in God. But the prayers we've received from our Muslim brothers and sisters, our Christian brothers and sisters, our Jewish brothers and sisters, from everyone, those prayers are lifting us up, and it feels like it's wrapped around us and protecting us during this time.
Governor, you mentioned that prayer. Can you say one line out of that prayer for us? Can you share that with us? Because you mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah.
One line that stands out.
You know, it's a prayer we recite in Hebrew for our kids. It's from the book of Numbers. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. That's a prayer and a hope that we have for our kids every day, that they have peace in their lives. Obviously, that peace was shattered on Sunday morning, but it is a hope and a prayer that we have, not just for our kids, but every child across Pennsylvania, that they live in a society that's free and peaceful, where they are protected and they are watched over by God.
General Services gave,
Go ahead.
the Department of General Services did send an update today about their progress looking at the residents, and said that the living space and the workspace should be ready within a few days.
Yeah.
You're here with your family today. What has to happen for you to be comfortable, not just yourself going back, but to bring your family back as well?
We're going to go back as soon as we can. And the Department of General Services has done an extraordinary job working to get the living quarters cleaned and ready for us to come back to. We're a little late today because Lori and I were over there this morning. It was the first time we had the chance to walk through there together. And we'll be eager to get back there. On Tuesday, we had the Easter egg roll. This coming Tuesday, the Easter egg roll is scheduled. And we're both insistent upon it happening. We want to welcome children and families from all across Pennsylvania back to the governor's residence. Obviously, it'll take some time before we can have them in the state dining room, but we're going to work to get that prepared real quick. We're going right back in there.
What was it like to walk through there?
You know, it's on the one hand, you're thankful for all the people who are there, who are working to get the people's house back in order and back to a place where we can welcome folks into the home. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, jarring, scary to see that in the light of day, to see the areas where We either make memories privately up in the residence with our kids, hanging out, laughing, enjoying ourselves, or in the more public spaces where we've been able to welcome so many people to our home, people who ordinarily wouldn't get an invitation to the governor's residence. It's very important to Lori especially that we're bringing so many different kinds of people in. And so to see those spots that are charred and burnt out and glass broken around areas that, before were just happy, special places for us is tough. But we're going to rebuild from that. We're going to be stronger from that. And we're going to, I think, probably have even more purpose in what we do as a result of that.
Mrs. Shapiro.
Let me be very clear. I have total and complete confidence in District Attorney Fran Chardo to charge this case as he sees fit, to analyze the evidence, to apply the law, and to see the case through. I'm not going to weigh in on what those charges should be. I'm not going to question his judgment. Should the Department of Justice choose to bring charges, I'll also respect their decision to do just that. As to Senator Schumer or anybody else, I don't think it's helpful for people on the outside who haven't seen the evidence, who don't know what occurred, who are applying their own viewpoints to the situation, to weigh in that manner. My trust is with the prosecutor to make the decision. He'll make the right decisions, and we'll be fully supportive of whatever decision he makes.
Mrs. Shapiro, you lived through a nightmare, knocked on the door, evacuating your family, the house is under attack. No one was hurt. But would you talk a little bit about what you experienced and what was going through your mind? It had to be horrible.
I mean, look, all I'm going to say is that we're so grateful to everyone who got our entire family out safely, and that is the most important thing, that we're all still standing here today and we are all safe. And, it was a hard experience. Going back there today was a hard experience, but as Josh said, we're all very resilient, and we are grateful that everyone is safe and grateful to all the helpers.
Governor, yesterday you talked about sort of accounting for maybe some family or things might have been in that segment of the having had a chance to now be in there. Do you collectively see those things, knowing that just in those 24 hours or there celebrating
Tom, when we walked through there today, I think we couldn't help but think about the spot where the candles that we had lit to begin the holiday were, or where the table was that we were sitting as we led the Seder, the Passover meal. As I kind of looked around the room, I imagined where our family was and where the guests from across the Commonwealth sat. And it was very, very moving for us. And again, you just thank God that everyone got out safe. The resident staff in the Department of General Services has been able to collect a number of the ritual items and other items that were in the room. Some just required a dusting and a cleaning. Others are destroyed. They've put them together. I know some will stay with the residents. Some will end up in the State Museum and the State Archives. And we're going to work through that to make sure that the public who wants to be able to know what happened there will be able to see some items, that we'll be able to have some of our personal items, and that other items will continue to be able to be used at the residence, not just during our time, but with future governors and first families.
Governor, you said today that you were forever bonded with the firefighters. Do you anticipate doing something like this in the future, or continue to be in touch and assisting these firefighters here in the future?
I mean, I always show up at Firehouse, always thank our firefighters. In fact, the budget that I proposed a few months ago included record funding for our firefighters. We've got to get that passed. We've got to see to it that Harrisburg Fire, which is in kind of a unique position here in the state capitol, gets its fair share of funding. All of those things were true before this fire, and we're gonna continue to fight to make sure that they get their fair share.
Governor, if you have a message for the younger Jewish community that might live with some fear and hearing about something like this happening?
I'll just say a message to people of all faith communities. Do not be deterred in practicing your faith. Do not be deterred in being proud of who you are. I'm proud of who I am. Lori's proud of who she is. We're raising our children to be proud of who they are. And here in the birthplace of religious freedom, a place that William Penn founded to be a place that would be warm and welcoming for people of all different faiths, I want you to know that you're safe here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and we're going to celebrate your faith. I was asked, Annie, I don't know if it was you or someone else, had asked about our reflection on, maybe it's Tom, I apologize, our reflection on some of the items in the room. At one point today, when we stopped to see the chandelier that had come down from the ceiling and was kind of partly melted and partly covered, you know, in soot and what have you from the fire, it was resting on a place on the floor where just the night before we had celebrated our Passover Seder. 2 or 3 weeks earlier, we had celebrated an iftar dinner at the conclusion of Ramadan. And about a year before that, where kids danced and played at our son Ruben's bar mitzvah, and right where the Christmas tree stands every December in the governor's residence. We really believe that Pennsylvania and this residence should be a place where people of all faiths are welcome and all faiths are comforted and feel as though they can celebrate openly and proudly who they are. And we're going to get that room back to being a place that's warm and welcoming for all.
Time for just a couple more questions here. Jillian?
Governor,
Where's Jillian?
back here, short. Can you describe?
Ford is blocking you there. Come on, Ford.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the night and getting that knock on the door? Can you describe that in a little bit more detail for people who might not understand how traumatic this was for you and your family?
We concluded our Seder maybe around 10-ish or so at night. Guests, family, and others kind of went into more of the private section of the first floor, the Erie room, the grand hall, and everybody was just enjoying one another and spending time and celebrating not just the holiday, but each other, enjoying each other's company. I'd say around midnight or so, we all went upstairs. This is probably, we probably spent an hour yelling at the kids to go to bed, and they didn't listen for that hour, but I'd say by about midnight, we were all upstairs, said goodnight to the kids, got the dogs situated, and I'd say, you know, probably fell asleep around 1 o'clock in the morning. Less than an hour later, I heard yelling in the hallway, which was not like our kids' voices. It was one of the state troopers running down the hallway, and he banged on the door. I don't know how he did it, but it wasn't a knock. It was more of a bang. Said, Governor, First Lady, we got to get up. There's a fire. We got to evacuate immediately. I would say within just a few seconds, we ran to each of the doors in the hallway to open them up and get the kids up, get the dogs up, and usher everybody down a back stairwell. And we followed the troopers out to the driveway area. And we were asked multiple times if everyone was present and accounted for. They were. Troopers and Capitol Police kept us safe as Harrisburg Fire and other fire arrived. Each time a different crew or person arrived, they asked to make sure we were all there, present and accounted for. We were. I remember it being a cold and kind of misty night. We were all a little chilly. Everybody was in their pajamas. And we just kind of huddled up and just tried to keep the kids calm and keep everybody calm. We didn't know at that moment on that side of the house the full extent of the damage and what was going on the other side of the house. But we saw one after another, just brave firefighters keep showing up and showing up and showing up. As that was occurring, many more members of the state police arrived, many members of our detail arrived to make sure we were okay. We were able to gather a few items up from the house, and then we were on our way to a safe location for all of us. And we got the kids to sleep, got them settled. And then the next morning, you saw me, I drove back and was at the residence with all of you. So.
Got time for one more?
Governor, I know
One former governor told me as soon as they heard about what happened, they said, I probably knew exactly where this guy got it. Obviously, like, people know what the residents are saying outside the defense. Do you see any immediate physical boundary areas that you might want to see improvements?
Yes. Yes, there are going to be a lot of improvements. A lot of improvements to the grounds, a lot of improvements to the technology that's used, and a lot of improvements to the systems. I have total and complete confidence in the Pennsylvania State Police, both the members of our detail, the detail that protect Lori and I and the kids, Blair and Austin and Harper. And I have confidence that they, working together with a third party who will assist us in this process, working together with the experts at the state police, that they will make whatever changes are necessary in order to keep not just us safe, but importantly, those who work at the governor's residence, those who visit the governor's residence literally every day, from school groups to people who are there to meet with me to people who are there for events. I expect things to change. They need to change. And I have confidence that under Colonel Parris's leadership, they will change and they will learn from this, and we will all be safer as a result. Okay? Thanks, everybody.